Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Daniel Gormali. Welcome back. I'm a GM, by the way. I know that's hard to believe for people watching, but I'm a GM. I'm a GM. But I'm joined today by a UK champion in Rene Butler. He's minor champion of Great Britain. What year was it, Rene?
2024.
Right. And yeah,
So I've dined out on that for quite a while now.
you told me that you turned up late for the games. For the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
round, but you just made it in time, and then you won a UK champion. So you've gone from being a struggling minor player to a UK champion, and partly through my help, let's be honest, but mostly your own
Yeah,
hard work.
I like. Yeah, I mean, I started the game late, as you know, Dan. I
Yeah.
started at 38, and I have had some help of quite a few people. To be fair, like my some, yourself, some mates and
Mm,
whatever.
mm,
But Stephen Jones helped me on stage, but like it doesn't come to me
mm.
naturally, chess. So that's half the appeal to it, I suppose.
Absolutely. And it's always interesting to me the difference between, what's the difference between, say, a world champion and, say, a low rated professional like me? What's the difference between a low rated professional and say someone rated about 2000, and then what's the difference between someone like that and a minor player, which is where you come in the terms of what's your FIDE rating currently?
I'm not sure now. Fide's probably gone up quite a bit because of the last tournament, but I
Mm,
think like a safe my real rating is between 1450 and 1500 ECF, which is just over 100 in old money. It's
mm.
I think my highest is about 1515, something like that.
And let's just deal with the elephant in the room first. Who is that on the wall? Is that Stan Laurel?
No, it's not Stan Berlusconi either. I should have mentioned him because he's given me a helping hand. It's
Oh,
Rick Mail. Rick
oh, Rick
Mail.
Mail, but it looks like it's
Young
supposed to look
ones.
like Stan Laurel a little bit. Right, right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to go through. Stop babbling for now. We're going to go through these games. So first I've got to share the screen, which let's share. Okay, so let me share. So I'll just share this screen. Okay, share. And here we go. Right, so you can see my screen possibly.
Yep. Yep.
So this is the game against Ron Cooper. Is this somebody that vaguely rings a bell?
Yeah, Ron's the secretary of Kettering. I play for his club, and I'm the secretary of Market Harbour, and he plays for my club. And we're good mates. We've got quite a good rivalry and friendship. And he usually beats me online, but I think I get the better of him over the board with the classical.
So when you say this is a Northampton tournament, where exactly is it? Where exactly was it held? And when did
Well, it
it
was Adam
start?
Ralph. Adam Ralph organised it. It was
Right.
Northampton University, quite a nice venue. Some of these
Mm.
venues, as we said before, Danny, they're rank, but this is lovely. Open spaces, great natural daylight, local amenities, air conditioning, although you didn't need it because it was cold. It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Good
And it
crack.
started on the Saturday, did it, or the
They
Friday?
did three games on the Saturday, yeah, 60 plus 30,
Yeah.
which is a strange time control, I think, but I use that to my advantage, actually. You're never going to run out of time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's hide the moves and predict what actually happened. So you were white in this game,
Yeah,
and he played an unusual system where he's going to try double your pawns.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, firstly, when he went Bishop G4, what was your immediate reaction?
Oh, I thought, you bugger, I'm going to get double pawns. Now, do I hit E4, which I've played against him online, and he usually
Yeah.
beats me online, like I say. So I thought, oh, don't play E4. I tried to be clever. So I thought I'd just play something else. So
Yeah.
I thought I need to get the bishop out, a dark square bishop. I don't want to bugger up my light squared bishop. And I messed up the opening, I must admit that. Eh?
Because E3 to me, when they play slightly unusual systems, the general advice is to play aggressively. That's the
Right.
way to test those systems. If you respond passively, they're generally quite happy. So the best
Yeah,
way
yeah,
is to play E4, I would say. I would probably think. Just, I mean, I'm not really
yeah,
all favor the theory that well, but how would he respond to
yeah.
E4? So if I'm going with direct calculation here, I'm thinking E4. How is he responding to E4? Let's
Well,
just
I
think.
think he chops off the knight, and then I'm just going to play queen takes. But then What happens if he goes H5?
So how would you, firstly, like I've asked you these kind of questions before. How would you evaluate this position on the board currently?
It's better for White because there's the development, the fact. I mean, I don't like the fact McQueen's out, but I'm only in the centre. I've got 2 points in the middle. You know, what's he got? He's
So
got a
you're saying
bishop.
it's
He's
better
got.
for why, right? And is there any other because of development, any other factors?
Well, I know you like the double bishop, Dan. Like all the strong
Yeah.
players like double
Yeah.
bishop. I think weaker players prefer knights for some reason, probably because they're tricky.
But what's the truth? It's not about whether weaker players. What's the
Ah, there we go.
truth?
This is it, Dan. This is it.
Right?
The
Because there's a
truth.
certain truth in chess, right? That you
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
get away
absolutely.
from, whatever level you're at. I mean, I know Nakamura said this. He said that the bishop pair uh, isn't that important with amateur players because they don't know how to exploit it. I don't completely agree with that.
That's
And
that's
also,
right. I agree. Yeah.
but also he would evaluate this position as not just slightly better for white, but a lot better for white because already they're very much down development. The position is open as well, which is going to favour the bishop
Yeah.
pair. So yeah, I don't think Bishop. I don't think he's going to take there. So he's probably going to play another move. What is this other move?
Well, he might strike in the centre.
Mm.
You know, I mean, obviously he wants to play E5 at some stage, but I think he might just bring out a knight, you know, something like knight F6.
Yeah, I think that's more sensible. I mean, another move that yeah, attack the pawn, which makes some sense. Another move that might consider knight d7.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, the e5. I mean, there is like a little trap here that's worth considering, which is that when you could also take with a pawn actually, because something like this is really good for white
Yeah.
because of the bishop pair in the endgame. And the
Yeah,
other
because
thing is, if yeah, I've seen something like this before. You tap the pawn, and when they block it, there's like a double attack here. I don't know if you could see it. This is a clever
wow.
trap.
Okay, are you saying something like pin it with the dark squared bishop, or are you saying push?
Well, I've only seen this because I saw Luke Miche play it
Oh,
once in a
oh, oh,
game.
castle, do castle, something like that?
No, no, no.
No,
Calm
no,
down.
really.
This is where this
Uh,
is where minor players are going wrong. Calm down. Think, think.
okay. Well, I
Let the
need to think.
position soak in, right? Let the position,
Oh,
let your subconscious soak in.
oh,
You,
damn! I didn't know we were going down this road.
we're
Right.
going to
Okay.
go down that road. But
Let's figure that.
I remember this because I remember
That's
a
sneaky.
young Luke Shea once played this trap at the Politica Cup or something similar, where he came up with this idea because his opponent went for a dubious line and he won quite easily with white. I
I'm
remember.
thinking here automatically what strikes out is G, the dynamic pawn move. I'm thinking about a dynamic pawn move
Let's
here.
go for
What are your
direct.
thoughts?
But that's a nice try, G4. I like that. But let's go for something direct because I want to create a move, play a move which creates a threat. So look for captures and checks. Now, clearly, these checks and captures, we say go for captures and checks.
Yeah.
They're not going to achieve anything. Obviously,
No.
that capture's bad. So I can't do anything immediately with captures check. However, I can play a move which would then create a threat of two different captures. Well, what is that move?
Okay, Dan. Well, I think sacking the bishop is wrong. That's not going to work, is it? Should we explore it? There's no knight to exploit it. Exploit it. So no. He's crying out for a bishop dark square bishop move. You what? The knight's too slow. Queen move. Oh, hang on. No, that won't work either.
Again, I think it comes down to knowledge, Rene, because obviously you say, you often castigate yourself and you say, oh, play that move too quickly. But it's very hard to come up with the right answer if you don't know the solution. You know,
Tell me, what's the answer?
the answer is Queen B3 because
Right.
you're attacking that pawn and you're attacking that pawn. So
It's
they're going to
literally
have to lose one of those pawns.
it's the most obvious move on the chessboard.
You see, obviously when you don't see it, and I see this kind of idea before, but if you haven't seen it before, then it's not so obvious.
I
And
would have won the game. Yeah,
you'd
that's
have
true.
probably seen it in a game, but
Yeah, that's
when
just
you're
ridiculous.
under, I'm testing you. But yeah, there's lots. I think 97 looks kind of the most natural move to me, but I'm not really familiar with the theory. But you went E3, which I think is a mistake, simply because they're playing a slightly unusual system, and you're not
Yeah,
playing aggressively against it. So I think that's good advice actually. When your opponent plays an unusual system that you don't see before, rather than you know. give them the concession of actually saying, actually, I think your system is good, therefore I'm going to play passively. You actually, the best way to do it is to go after it and play
Mm,
aggressively. But you played in a way where he's now comfortable, I would say.
mm.
Uh, so why am I criticizing D5? I don't like D5, I'm honest. Why am I criticizing that move?
What for? What him playing D5?
When he went D5, I don't like D5, and a specific reason why I don't like D5. Again,
Well,
I might be wrong. I mean, I wouldn't say D5 is a terrible move by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not the move that I would choose.
he's moving pawns twice. You know what I mean? He's all.
Exactly, exactly. And he's got control of that square, and then he's just
Mm,
giving it up, which doesn't make much
mm.
sense to me. Now he is gaining control of over E4, but I think,
Yeah,
I mean, like you say, like I think one of the things I noticed, I was writing this book currently about really amateur players and what are the kind of mistakes that amateur players make. And one of the things that really stands out to me is that they tend to move the piece more often,
mm.
or they move a pawn more often. They're trying to do something on every move, right?
Yeah,
Rather than
yeah,
just develop. They can't just develop, right?
yeah,
And the higher the level you go, the less that becomes obvious. So obviously,
yeah,
once
yeah.
you get above 2400, 2600, it becomes a different ball game. And if higher rated players do take that liberty, they do so for a reason, and they do so because they're confident that they can get away with it. However, D5, it just looks completely wrong to me because you give him like this square.
Yeah, outpost. Yeah, eventually, if you can get rid of the knight on C6,
I
yeah,
would have got E5, and even a move like G6, I would have probably
yeah.
preferred. So D5 was a mistake. Again, I might consider just challenging the centre with C4 or just simply castling. Uh, it comes back to this. I mentioned this before, Rene. Uh, theory of the only moves. So the theory of the only moves says like what are the moves you're definitely going to play in a position, right? You play those moves first because you played poker before, right?
One more bit in Vegas, but yeah,
Yeah, but poker position is very important. So if you're on the button, you're getting more
yeah,
information. You're acting last. And it's the same in chess.
yeah,
If you we say like what are the moves that you're definitely going to play? To me, the move one of the moves why it's definitely going to play is castles. So you
yeah,
castle first, and then when you see what they played, then you consider whether you're going to go B3, develop the bishop that way, or play C4. So I would play that
yeah.
move because it's an automatic move. At some point, you're almost certainly going to castle kingside. So that's a slight, but yeah, I like the way you played this. This is great. Interesting decision to take with a bishop. Did you consider any other recapture?
Well, I did, and I knew because I wanted to fianchetto the dark squared bishop at some stage, like an orangutan, which I used to play real weirdly
Yeah,
because the bishop being blocked in. But actually, I probably should have played b takes c,
yeah, yeah,
and then just had more pawns in the center, if you see what I mean. But I think
yeah.
I got obsessed with this idea of fianchetto and the bishop.
Well, my good friend Keith Arkle, who obviously I mention on every video, I mention him every video, and he often watches my videos. A
Yeah,
friend and a rival, friendly rivals, right? He always talks about hierarchy of pawns, and he's right. If you take the B pawn is less important than the C pawn, so therefore, if you could make the B pawn into a C pawn, you've got more control over the center. He would have just taken back the
yeah,
pawn automatically, put the bishop on b2. And the other danger is if you're thinking from a maximalistic point of view, and you're saying, look, I often think like, if I play all these moves, my opponent responds badly, how am I going to end up? Well, look, this kind of thing, let's just say that they just wait. This kind of thing is already very bad news for black because this is a big threat. They,
it's borderline winning, isn't it? In some ways,
it's
yeah,
borderline
yeah,
winning. However, like if let's say, for example, yeah, I mean, of course, take out the bishop is not a bad move, but let's say, for example, you did the same here, then they could go e5, and then they're not concerned about you going potentially going c5 or d. So okay, so the bishop takes is also fine, and then he castled, and yeah, I don't like queen c2. Why don't I like queen c2? And it comes back to give you a clue. It comes back to what I was saying. Sorry, I'm criticizing all your moves here. I feel quite bad. You know,
Still getting over the fact I missed Queen B3. I'm still devastated I missed Queen B, the most obvious move in the history of chess. But anyway, go on. Yeah,
it's not obvious really when you don't know it.
it
I
was obvious.
think.
It was obvious.
Oh, sorry.
Most simple.
Okay,
Chess, chess.
what was the saying before about the theory of this is something that really needs to be ingrained for amateurs, right? The theory
Yeah,
of the only moves, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What are the automatic moves? Let's think about this position. What are the moves you're definitely going to play here as white, right? What are the moves you're definitely
Well,
going to play?
definitely at some stage. Are you talking at some stage or right now? Because at
Yeah, yeah.
some
At some
stage,
stage, you're going to, at some
okay,
point.
Rook F E1, right? Because you said, didn't you, like Magnus Carlsen not doing
Yeah, but I'm not so sure you necessarily put the rook on f8. It feels it doesn't really do anything here. But yeah, it's something I mentioned before
it.
about Magnus
And
Carlsen. It's
yeah,
very interesting that one of the things he's very good at is developing his king's rook. He always puts his if he's black, he puts his rook on e8. If he's white, he puts his rook on e1. He always does it automatically. So that's a
yeah,
good
sure.
call.
Sure. But right now I'm fianchettoing the bishop, or I'm trying to get rid of that
Absolutely.
dot square
So the
bishop.
bishop b2 is a move that you're always going to play. It's like the first move that you're going to play. It's like so
Yeah,
I would play that move first, and then you see what they're doing, and then you consider whether you're going to go e4, whether you're going to put the queen on c2, or the queen
yeah,
on.
yeah,
I would actually put the queen on e2 because it's not going to get hit by the knight on b4. And Boris Spassky said the queen is always best placed on e2. He was a world champion. He knew what he was doing. Passed away
yeah, yeah.
sadly recently. So R.I.P.
A
Boris
year ago,
Spassky. But knight b4, yeah, it feels awkward what you've done, and suddenly your queen has to move again.
yeah,
Yeah, Queen B2, Rene. I'd play Queen B2, even though I don't love it compared
yeah,
to where you were earlier. You're going to drive the knights back. This is a mistake. Why is it a mistake? That's a clear mistake. That's a clear error, in my opinion. If I was going to take this game, I'm amazed you won this game actually, because really the last
oh
few
yeah, like I
games.
say, I opened really badly in this game. But I think like you want to keep that light squared bishop on. You want to probably put it back, but it's giving his knight an active square, isn't it? Because
But
he got his
that's not
knight
the real
back.
reason why I think it's bad. The real reason I think it's bad is relates to what we were talking about earlier,
Well,
the bishop pair.
yeah, yeah,
Which
okay,
is
yeah,
what you were saying. You don't. I think you need to get it in your head that the bishop pair is very important because this is just giving up the bishop pair. Which is reducing your attacking chances as
yeah,
well.
yeah,
So
yeah. Here,
I really dislike this move. I might have even taken back the pawn because it increases control. And I would
yeah.
say we've gone from a position like a few moves ago where we were clearly better or
Mm,
or very nice position or at least slightly better to a position where we're clearly worse,
mm.
which is not a good. So again, I feel this is something you could maybe work on, Rene, is your transition from the opening into the middle game. Set up some
Yeah,
training
sure, sure, yeah,
positions. Think, right, maybe even go through with a computer, see where the evaluation is at after you've done your own analysis. But yeah,
yep.
yeah, sorry to criticize. Okay, so
No, no, no. I'm all about the constructive criticism. It's fine. Yeah,
Bishop
yeah,
there. Another move that maybe he could have. I like that move by him, but another move he could have considered maybe was maybe Bishop B5 possibly
yeah, yeah,
because if you move
yeah.
the rook,
That's what I was expecting from him. Actually, I was
hmm,
expecting that.
how would you have
Yeah.
reacted to this?
You seem doubtful, Dan. You seem doubtful. Yeah, I was
No, no, no. I
expecting that.
seem doubtful about the position for you. I don't
Yeah.
seem
Well,
doubtful that
the
you
problem is
anticipate
now
that. Yeah.
he plays that. I'm mindful of the fact that he's got the knight, which can fork the queen and the rook. I'm thinking if he plays that,
Yes.
I've got to be
Yes.
really careful because of those two pieces on light squares and the knight that's going to go on a night square. So that's why I was panicking. And he usually does me online with these forks. So I was just thinking,
Actually, this is
um,
a very good. When I talk about falsification, where you falsify variations, right?
yeah,
And this
yeah,
is the way the amateurs can improve: is
yeah,
you identify a candidate move.
yeah,
So as white to play here, I'm identifying a candidate move, and
yeah.
then I'm trying to find something wrong with it, right? And then, therefore, I
Exactly.
can eliminate that move. Sorry?
Well, I think the problem is, right,
Yeah.
automatically you need your reaction. You think, right, well, I'm going to play Rook E1, right? But then you think,
Yeah.
well, hang on, if he can ever get in, and his knight can, can fork the queen and the rook at some stage if he gets on the right square,
Yeah.
and the bishop can come in as well because it's a
Now,
light
hang
square
on, hang
bishop.
on, hang on, hang on. I need to stop you there because this is the problem that I mentioned before with amateur players is there's too much information. There was too much going on there in that whole full process.
Right, listen to me, listen to me. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
If I play the
yeah,
rook onto
yeah,
D1, for example, the
yeah.
problem with that move is that he's got a light squared bishop, which can just attack it instantly, right? If I
Yes,
play on the dark square,
yeah,
okay, I've
yeah.
still got to be mindful of the knight coming in on, C2, right?
That's right. That's right.
So, and then
Yeah.
there's a fork there, isn't there, with the two rooks?
But what I mean is, Rene, a professional player. If I give this position to Gukesh, he's going rook e1, bishop d3, queen b2, knight c2, wins the exchange, right? But you're putting a lot of words in that sequence. You will get eventually get there, but you're putting a lot of words in there, which is interfering with your thought process. It's
Yeah, yeah, I
leading
get
to
you.
paralysis by analysis, and this is the fundamental thing I think that amateur players need to improve on is their
Yeah,
fundamental calculation, how they approach position in the first place, becoming more concrete. Because
yeah.
so I think we can eliminate rookie one. Why can we eliminate rookie one? For concrete reasons.
Well, because
Let's just no,
he's got
let's not say any words. Let's say
knight
moves.
d2.
Knight d3.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh,
But knight d3 rook
knight. I
here.
mean, not knight. Right.
There's
Yeah, yeah.
something even
Then
stronger.
got a
Knight
revealed attack
d3,
on the.
that's good, but at least that's just a word, right? So that's good. So you're making progress, right?
And
It's
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if he plays, well, you can't see where I'm
yeah,
pointing.
yeah,
He's got knight c2,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
If he can say if he can play put another defender on the diagonal. So what is that like c4? D4, sorry, bishop d4.
A
See what
bishop.
I'm saying?
Yeah,
No, you
yeah.
don't, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if he
Bishop
can play
d3,
bishop
bishop
c4,
d3,
d4,
right?
sorry.
But
D3,
what
man, D3, the right
let's think
square.
about his
Bishop
candidate moves.
D3.
What let's think about this specific position. What are his candidate moves? Black to play.
Okay, bishop D3. He plays bishop
Correct.
D3, right?
Yeah, correct.
Right, he plays bishop 3, 3, 3. I
And
can't
then you've only
retake
got
the
one
knight.
move, queen b2,
And then he brings in the knight and
and then
forks
he's
two
forking
pieces.
the
And that's
rook,
what
and
I
he's
was
going to
saying
win
all
material.
along.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly,
yeah. Do
exactly.
you understand? You know what I mean, don't you? I was
Yeah,
pointing at the
yeah.
bloody screen. You can't see it,
I know what you mean, Harry. By the way, you're a member of this study, so if you want to be the pieces, that's fine. But like Rook
Oh,
D1,
am I? Oh, yeah, yeah,
Rook
yeah.
D1 loses for the same reason because
Yeah,
of this. So you could
yeah.
falsify Rook E1 and Rook D1 for tactical reasons. They both lose
Right.
material. So
Yeah, yeah.
therefore, after Bishop B5, there's only one move which doesn't lose material. What is it?
What, right now, right this moment in
Yeah,
time,
there's only one move.
I block it, play knight,
Yeah, exactly.
C4.
So you get there by process elimination, just purely through calculations. So if amateur players can improve on that, they're making big progress. However, your
Yeah.
opponent, Rod, played Bishop C6, and you went here.
Got rid of the bad bishop. So that was the whole idea of the operation. Yeah.
And to be honest, I think his next move is a mistake. And the reason is it comes back to the same issue that we were discussing before,
Yeah.
that you're giving up the bishop pair. I would
Yeah.
have I would have played A5 to anchor the knight so that Paul could always take back.
Yeah.
And and I would argue that black is better because of the bishop pair. But he went knight d5, and then you took, which I think was a good decision. And then you went all aggressive,
Yeah.
and then you went there, and knight f3. Yeah. So queen e4 was played. So now you get the same game, and then so considering, so we're seeing that these swings in these games because considering how good Black's position was a few moves ago, this is clearly, but this has gone horribly wrong for Black, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because suddenly it looks like you're clearly better with a better knight against a bishop.
This was like I was thinking Keith Arkle games here. Like I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He loves any end game. He loves any end game. Yeah,
Now,
but
I just thought with all the pawns on the board, the knight's going to be better, bad bishop. I think in general terms, not concretely, as you know, Dan. I think like
this is the point. But do you think that's a good thing or not?
no, it's a bad thing. I just think back of a
Yeah.
fact packet, honestly.
But obviously, it's easy when you've been training like me for like since all I've done is been a chess bum, and then I'm
You
criticizing
know what?
people.
Let me say this, Dan. You said in
Yeah,
one of your videos last week, you said,
yeah,
always think, where have they made a mistake? Where have they made a mistake? And I
yeah,
embedded that in my brain at this stage. And I thought, look, he's going to make a mistake at some stage. And I was thinking your words were
yeah.
echoing in my brain.
Really, thank you,
Well, I'm
thank you.
not being sycophantic,
Yeah,
because,
yeah,
I tell you, I criticize you as much as you criticize me, but I'm saying
that's
that
right.
I watched the video and I thought, think Danny Gormley, do it, Danny Gormley, and there we go.
That's good. Yeah, because why? So why were you thinking that move was a mistake?
Right there, because I just thought, well, you're asking about concrete thought processes. I've told you, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
thinking, right.
Oh, you're thinking
It just allows me in because
you're thinking pure
it allows
cat
me
cat. You were pure
E5s.
cack at
It
this point. Yeah.
it it allows me knight E5. That knight E5 has got no
Exactly. So
control
it's
into
a
knight E5.
positional. I would add it if I was annotating this game. I would say I would give that a question mark because it's making his bishop even worse. Now, when you've got one of the advices in the end game is when you've got a bishop, you try to put your pawns on opposite colours square to your bishop. Therefore, your bishop has more scope. If he was to go g5, the bishop could go to g6. However, f5, he suddenly put another pawn. All his pawns are now on light squares, which
Yeah,
is wrong. And again, this is
he's
something that
compromising his bishop. Yeah,
uh, professional players take for granted. A professional player would never go f5 there because it automatically they would reject it based on this knowledge, right? But
yeah,
for an
yeah.
amateur player, they just know less, right? So therefore, I can't criticise that move too harshly, but you get an advantage in the end game, and you manage to convert. That's brilliant. So at this point, you were on 1 out of 1 after this game, and actually, you hoovered him up pretty impressively after that.
Yeah.
This is free. Yeah, this is okay. This is 3 points, so it's pretty trivial. And he resigned the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, G4 was also winning, but okay, it doesn't really matter because if he takes there, you're going to come across and take his
He
pawn.
would have resigned if he was playing anyone but me, but he knows that I've got a mistake in me, so he just kept going.
So why do you think you have a mistake in you?
Oh, mate, I get anxious. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't know, just do.
you're
But
worried
I
about.
did focus on this game. In the second half of the game, I focused.
Yeah, so can we have a look at the second game?
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah, second game, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
This was Stan Badaskoni's, like he taught me the Benko Gambit
right,
a couple of
because
years ago.
Stanley, I always get his name pronounced wrong. I think it's Badashoni.
It's Badaskoni, it is Badaskoni, yeah, it is.
Badaskis. I'll get criticised
Bad.
by him and his mum for
Oh, they
pronouncing the
never
name wrong. I'll
criticised
just
me,
call him
mate.
Stan Bad. That's easier.
Yeah,
But he's quite an aggressive,
yeah.
dynamic. He's got a good attacking repertoire with white and with black. So I'm not surprised he plays the Benko. I remember he
He
won a very
played
nice
it
game
past 10. Yeah,
against Freddie Gordon in the final round of the British UK Blitz about 2 years ago.
yeah,
So B5.
yeah.
Yeah, but knight C3 is not. So what are you doing if they take? How are you playing there?
I was going to keep feeding him. Go A6.
Yeah, that's the normal Benko move. Yeah, and if he takes again.
This is really strange because I like a
Mm.
suboptimal move. Well, I say suboptimal. Most of my moves are suboptimal, but I mean, according to the engine, I hear play G6. Now, I know
Mm.
you're not supposed to. You're probably supposed to like play bishop takes pawn, but I do like G6.
No, I think this is actually a way that they could play now. This is actually the popular way because they could delay. At the moment, the white is you're attacking that 3 times, so they can't defend that pawn. So at some point, you could regain the pawn anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
G6 is also reasonable. But okay, the game he went knight C3. I think that's probably not the best. And you gained time of the night, which I quite like. Another option was to take, but uh, yeah. And let me move that. By the way, I don't know what the weather like is like your neck of the woods, Rene, but it's very windy here.
chucking it down, mate. Chucking it down.
Is it? Yeah, it's very wet. Knight D7. Yeah, maybe like here, let's think about options. What? So you went Bishop G4, which is reasonable. I think that's
Yeah.
a good option. Any other options? I'm not saying that wasn't the best option, but were there any other options?
Yeah, probably. I looked at knight B D7, but thought that blocks the bishop in, right? And
Hmm.
then I thought, well, what about ace A5, right? Because it's just keep pushing the pawns, why not? But then I thought, well, hang on, the knight's hanging back. You've got to develop your pieces. So where can I fianchetto the bishop? But then the his pawns block the center. So I thought, well, just get rid of the bishop, worst case scenario for a knight, and like I know I'm doing the bishop pair, but it's one less knight to deal with.
Yeah, yeah. But at the moment, his centre is like dominating the board, right? So I'm always thinking
Yeah, yeah.
about like how can I lessen the influence of that centre?
Okay,
There's a
maybe
move
I was
here that strikes me as fairly obvious.
what you'd play as black.
Mm. But I'm not. Yeah, I think
Uh,
I'd probably play this move. Yeah.
yeah, well, I think you're thinking. Um, hmm, I don't think you would play that actually. I'm not moving them pawns. Hello, cat. I'm not moving them pawns because they're just nice. Those dark squared pawns are nice. Other than,
So again, I think this comes back to what I was saying earlier about it's a lack of knowledge.
all right, you tell me, Dan. Tell me.
Because I would like E6 would definitely be. I don't know whether I'd play it, but it'd definitely be a candidate move because you wanted. Now it looks as if I bet it looks as if you're giving White the C4 square, which to be fair is probably true, but um,
Good pawn then. Like that pawn chain can be attacked.
it just gives you more options later on in the game. Just because if I okay, so another thing which is important is space, right? The final
Yeah, yeah,
frontier.
yeah.
At the moment, you lack space because they got a space advantage because they got pulled here, and I feel like they got slight space advantage, right, in the
Right.
center. So if you go E6, now one of the advice, obviously, when your opponent has advantage in space, you exchange pieces. However,
Right.
if you exchange pawns, it's probably the same. You know, you're
Yeah.
reducing their advantage in space, so therefore you're a little bit less congested.
Got
So
ya.
my argument would be, at some point you want to go E6, so therefore why not now? That's just my argument. Like, I'm not saying it's necessarily the best move. I mean, we could check with the engine. What does it say is the best move? It probably says Bishop G4 is the best move. It says A5 is the best move, which you
All right.
suggested.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What about my E6? It doesn't hate E6. Bishop G4, uh, yeah, slightly inferior because you're giving up the bishop pair.
Yeah.
And we keep, so I think there's something that you need to maybe play through 1,000 games of Carp or 1,000 games of Magnus Carlsen. And why is Magnus Carlsen so successful? It's because he's very good at accumulating small advantages. And one of the small advantages he often accumulates in his games is the bishop pair. So if amateur
Yeah.
players play for 1,000 games of Magnus Carlsen where he's accumulating the bishop pair, they might start to sink in. I do think
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think as well, the younger this happens, the better. It's harder when you're older to learn all this stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Your brain isn't as flexible and all this kind of nonsense. But yeah, again, I don't like the way that your opponent has played this. Uh, I don't like the idea that they're exchanging pieces. I think they should have avoided it. I'm not sure how. Maybe they could have gone here so that when you were going here, they just moved a knight. So now they're
Actually,
in.
yeah.
So because the fact that you've exchanged a pair of pieces helps you a lot. So this is makes it a lot easier to defend your position. So I think at this point you're probably doing okay. Uh, yeah.
Did think about king. This is the only move I really spent ages on.
Yes.
Weirdly, I thought
Yes.
about king takes bishop.
Right.
Um, be, and I talked myself out of it, but I now know that that was a better move. But that was
I think the knight wants to go to f6 later
yeah.
because the knight here is that's what's called a fianchetto knight.
Yeah, which
You know,
is
like you
just all wrong.
fianchetto a bishop. But the problem is they go f4.
Yeah,
And that's what he should have played actually.
yeah.
But king takes. Let's say they go f4 now. Again, I might go for my e6 break and then hope that there's no main attack.
But Dan, this is generally thinking, like generalization rather than concrete thinking, as you say, the difference between strong players and not strong players. I'm not going to call myself a weak player because I just won a under 16 on
Yeah,
tournament. But
you're not a weak player. You're not a weak player.
the point I'm making is that I think generically, do you know what I mean? Like I think, oh, this is
Yeah,
about
yeah,
right. You see what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You
Because
think
you're not used to calculating variations. You don't work on your
no,
calculation,
no, 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 not at all.
and therefore you're not trained to work on your calculation. Therefore,
Yeah.
how can you go from A to B? You can't.
No.
You're not comfortable. And we were discussing this the other day about how minor players often play a lot quicker. Their
Yeah.
games finish quicker because. And I said in a video yesterday, I said the reason is I think because they don't know how to calculate, therefore they don't even try,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So therefore they see a move, they generalize, and then they play a move, and there's not a lot. There is some calculation behind it, but there's not a lot, and they certainly don't know how to calculate properly in the sense of taking variations that bit further, looking, branching out their lines, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And that is something that you need to work on to get to a higher level. But obviously, it's a difficult process, takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, another problem is time trouble. But you don't seem to have an issue with time trouble, you would say.
Hardly ever. No.
Yeah. So, okay. So, in this position, okay. So, at this point, you offered a draw.
I offered a draw because
Mm.
he looked quite an intense player physically. He just looked quite
What
intense.
younger
Like,
guy was it?
well, he's a bit younger than me, but he's in his late 30s. He's a kickboxer.
Oh, oh, was
The
he a
kick,
kickboxer? Ah,
yeah,
right.
quite well known
Yeah.
as chess boxing and stuff. And he just looked like he was really like, ready for to
Really
keep going.
aggressive.
I just thought I can't be doing this. I'm just going to offer a draw.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But,
Look, I think this was level. I thought it was level at the time.
yeah, it looks kind of drawish anyway. I mean, there is maybe a plan of going 98 to D6. I
Yeah.
might try and play this because I feel like Black's position then is kind of more or less bomb proof. Maybe the knight can jump out of F5, but yeah, I would say this position's equal. So the draw there is fine. So then, should we move on to game three? I don't know if we'll be able to get through all the games, but we'll.
Yeah, game three. I mean, this guy he was British. Sorry, I shouldn't. He's not Indian.
Mm,
I think his parents are Indian. He's British, British born. He didn't play like a kid. He was born in 2012. He took his time. He's very respectful, and
yeah.
he sort of had the air of a sort of country gent almost, and he made me laugh a lot. He was rated 1537 ECF. Now I had 200 points to that because he's a junior. And I thought he was going to beat me easily, but he made a mistake. He missed an in-between move, so I beat him.
Oh, that's good. Right. So yeah, so in this position, you went 92,
Yeah.
and oh, so I think maybe he thought that the bishop. Maybe he forgot the bishop was defended by the knight.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
took there, which is a mistake. You should take there, and it's probably equal. And he took there, and this come back to what I was saying earlier. Keep going on about it. Falsified your variations. Looking, if he'd have spent some time, how much time did he spend on that move?
He spent a while on it, and I think he saw the problem, went
Right.
on to think about something else, and came back to it and forgot
Oh,
about the floor in
yeah.
the
Forgot
bottom.
about the floor. That often
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
happens. Yeah, yeah. This is what I say. Like, sometimes you go around in circles with calculation. You got to keep it
Yeah,
clean.
I think he did. I think he tried to overthink, but he seemed like a deep calculator to me for this level.
Mm. But like you say, he's only was he only 14 or 13,
Yeah,
right?
13
So he's
point this
obviously going to
year. Yeah,
improve a
same as my
lot.
daughter.
He's going to
Yeah.
improve a lot. So he's
Oh, yeah.
got a
Yeah, it'll be
promising
2000 in a
future.
couple of years. Yeah.
So you could have taken there, but you take out the knight.
Yeah.
So now the position is just winning for white and queen
I was quite
f3.
pleased with this because usually I back off down. I'm start
Yeah.
freaking out and I'll lose this game because I'm a coward and I'll start moving the king around and backing
Yeah,
off.
we discussed this before that when you're better, the best way to convert maybe is to play aggressively.
Well, you
And
said the problem with my chess, well, one of them is that I don't put my foot on the throat. So again, I'm not
yeah,
being sycophantic,
yeah.
but I was thinking like put your foot on the throat, just win it. Stop being a coward.
That's a Tiger Woods quote, actually. I'll
What
just
is it?
remember him mentioning that to Jason Day or something. Like Jason Day was like a golfer struggling to break through and win a major. This is around about 2015, but he finally won a PGA in 2015. And Tiger Woods mentioned that you got to be ruthless. You got to like keep your foot on their throat when you're leading the tournament. You don't let him get up. That's why he was a proven winner. But I think he possibly got that quote himself from the military because his dad was involved. His dad was a military personnel, right?
Just a
Davis in the
shout out to
military.
Daniel Gormley in golf, by the way, if anyone's watching. Daniel does give me advice on my golf swings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you play golf. We'll have to have a game sometime. Yeah, I'm quite.
There's
I
some
love golf. Yeah,
videos.
I watch a lot. My tip this year is Tommy Fleetwood to win a major. Finally break through and win a major, but nobody will remember that when he does. No one will remember that I tipped him to win. Oh, well, I'll tell you about the board here, Rene. Actually, just because I've got a direct threat. If I can exchange queens here, the game is over.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
the only hope that Black has is to exchange, keep the queens on the board and somehow hustle up some. It's not going to work anyway, but I mean, maybe a little bit concerned about F5 though. But then
Mm.
G5,
Yeah, pawn on.
G5,
Yeah.
and then here you could either take or go E4, and you just completely win it. So
Yeah.
there's another way to play. You took the queen, that's fine. And then rook E1, you just played very solidly here. You weren't rushing. That's just something I think will take your chess to another level. It's just a bit more patience. Knight E5, great move. Rook G6, aggressive. Yeah. Uh, very good game, I would say. Yeah, yeah. So quality, and he resigned because he realized it's checkmate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
We realized before I did, to be honest.
that was a very good. Can we move on? We do. I
Yeah.
know it's been a long video already. I don't want to take your time. I know you're a busy guy like
It's all
me.
right. No, no, you going. I'm
So
golden.
this is against Lackland Harding Cordish.
He finished joint first alongside me, and I spent 2.5 hours of prep thinking he was going to play the Leonhardt Gambit, and the selfish bugger didn't do it. He played something else. So
Is that a Scottish name, Lackland
yeah,
Harding?
yeah, he's not Scottish, but the name is Scottish. I asked him afterwards.
You
Yeah.
know where I recognise the name from. I was wondering earlier, and then I thought actually it's from this Titan submersible disaster because the guy. Let me look it up. There's a guy on there who's like a Scottish billionaire who was one of the sad people on the vessel who died on the vessel. Uh, Titan submersible victims. Uh,
Him?
uh,
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
uh, so it's Ocean Gate CEO Stockton Rush, French explorer Paul Henry the Gugelot, or whatever his name is, British billionaire Hamish Carding. So I'm wrong about it's not that. Yeah, but
Oh
it's
yeah.
probably no relation, right?
The news cycle's so rapid now. It feels like it was 30 years ago. But I remember the
Yeah,
yeah.
horrendous. Could you imagine being down in that
I
sub
was
and
sorry for the kid. Well, don't get me into it.
yeah, there was
But
a
yeah,
Pakistani businessman who was also very rich and his son. So
yeah.
that
His
was
son was
really
led down to false pretenses. It's
yeah,
shocking.
yeah, it's very sad. So you played the Scandinavian. I must admit I quite like the Scandinavian as an opening, but I quite
The
like
reason I
playing.
played it, not the Najdorf, is because I found out he plays the Grand Prix attack, and I've lost every single game I've ever faced against a Grand Prix attack. So I just made this up on the spot, really. Other than because my prep went out the window.
Okay, so knight f6 and then bishop g4. This is reasonable. So again, like yeah, is what? Why would I maybe criticize that move?
So pair, it brings his queen out. My b7 pawn is vulnerable if the knight can be displaced, which
But
it probably
you
is.
just need the first part of that set. You did need to add the bishop pair. We need to keep banging on to this until we do like a month on the bishop pair. Maybe buy some books on the bishop pair in chess, and then you start to like your chess will go to a higher level if you start thinking about the bishop pair a bit more. You're giving away the
Yeah,
bishop pair too easily in your games. This is a weakness I'm seeing in your games. If I was an AI bot and I had to come up with a sort of like like a report on your chess, it would say the bishop pair is something that you're giving away too easily. And again, I'm not in love with this move. Why am I not in love with this move? But I think we were discussing this earlier.
green pair. No, because it's I don't know. Why wouldn't you like that? Because maybe my king's not safe at the stage. My queen's not under threat. Maybe I should just castle queen side maybe.
Admittedly, though, I'm seeing a problem. Like that is the move you'd want to play, but I'm a little bit concerned about that move.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Although
yeah.
there is Queen B6 actually,
Queen B6. Yeah, yeah.
but then maybe they could start annoying you with moves like A4. I'm a little bit maybe A5. You could just about get away with it. So
Yeah.
a bishop here. You could go bishop C5. Or but you did D4 actually. That might be a problem.
Right. Yeah.
That might be a problem because D5 is coming.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit concerned about your position already because this move bishop takes f3. So you went queen e5 and yeah. So the reason I would, if I was going to criticize queen e5, I'd say was you moving a piece again. But actually, I would have developed a bishop as white and said, look, I've already moved my queen. I'm now going to exploit the fact you move your queen, you moving your piece is too often by developing a piece because then I'm going to
Gotcha.
be ahead of development. Which if I move my queen, I'm conceding to your move by moving my queen again. Bishop
Yeah, yeah.
e3. What would you play after bishop e3?
Well, I am looking at candidate moves, e6,
Yeah,
because that f7 pawn is soft,
right,
and castling long.
right.
But then I'm worried about. I know he's already moved the bishop, so I'll probably just castle down, to be honest.
Uh, but you mentioned, again, falsification. What is tactically wrong with that move? But again, actually, no, it's not so clear now. Suddenly I realised maybe it's not so clear because there are.
I mean, bishop b5. He's got bishop b5 coming up, maybe, but he's not looking at the queen. So what am
No,
I on about?
I was thinking about well, concretely, what happens if he just takes the pawn?
Oh yeah, yeah, the pawn. Forgot about that one. Yeah, I'd
But
seen that one.
there is knight d4,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, I got that. Yeah, you would not believe this. I was thinking about this in the game at some stage. That's the
mm,
gospel.
no,
You
no, I
don't believe?
believe you. I believe you. That's
No, I
good. That
genuinely
shows your
was.
calculation is starting to come good, right? I think every time I say something, you assume I'm taking the piss, right?
No, you don't. You
But
don't.
I would be concerned about 94 immediately because the queen takes b7, which
That's
so
that's what that was the big concern. Yeah, yeah.
because this doesn't look good for black because the problem with the rook.
Because you get it with check, he takes the rook with check. This is what I discussed with him after the game. The reason I didn't go down this line
Yeah.
was because of that very point. And I've just I'm doing myself a disservice here because I did think that.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Because you were thinking about this, you mean? Now
Yeah, I
this.
was. That's the
Yeah.
whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he
Because
takes with check,
yeah. Exactly. So,
and he's on my knight, and I'm not on. I don't get anything for
yeah. So
compensation.
he's hitting the rook, and when the knight takes, you move the king either to d2 or d1, and then he's going to win material.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if you take here, this is just a disaster for black. Even
Yeah,
though
exactly.
materially you're not doing too badly, but your king's in the center. Moves like bishop b5 are going to be a serious problem, to say the least. So
Yeah.
this is game over.
I
So
feared this guy because the way he discussed the games and all the theory he knew,
mm,
and so it sounds awful. You said in your video, don't
mm,
play for a draw, don't play for a draw. This is the one time I really wanted to play for a draw because I knew that if I
mm.
did get a draw, I guaranteed uh, an opportunity to win the section if I won my final game.
It's hard to follow that advice, to be honest,
Did yeah,
because somebody actually mentioned Anna Williams. She said she followed that advice that somebody offered her a draw and she turned it down and she won the game. But then later on in the tournament, at some point you forget about this advice. I mean, myself, I offered a draw against Hebden when I was actually doing very well, and then
in
later,
Bradford.
yeah, I was black against Mark Hebden in Bradford, yeah, and I drew that game, and then in round four, my opponent offered me a draw after I just blundered actually, Korneyev, but I think he didn't realise how bad my position was, which is under,
Yeah,
you're not privy to the computer evaluation during the game, and so yeah, so this all looks kind of normalish, and I think the way you're playing is pretty decent actually. B5, yeah. Might bring a rook to the center now.
I did,
Yeah.
I think.
Wow, exactly. So you're
And then
thinking,
the idea was to deprive him of the bishop pair if he ever played rook e2, which he did do. And then I thought, Danny will say bishop pair, so I'm going to play
yeah.
knight d4, and I
But you
did.
say
And
it's
off he
interesting you say
draw.
Daddy would say bishop pair, but you don't seem to care about the bishop pair a lot in your games, right? So you only say that to yourself occasionally. You should say that to yourself all the time, right? Just have
Uh,
me living rent free in your head, say bishop pair, bishop pair, bishop pair. But
but
okay, so if I'm thinking on a high level Karpov prophylaxis Dvoretsky suggestion from White's perspective, Rene, what would you play here? So yeah, we probably won't keep you for much longer, mate, because it's been a long
from
video.
White's perspective, I might
So
pin that
so so
knight.
if I'm thinking, right, knight d4, is a positional
Yeah,
threat anyway, because even without rook e2, your threat is knight e4. Now you can play this move, which
yeah,
prevents knight e4, so that's a direct way to prevent it. But then I think Black would go knight e7
yeah.
and then put the knight on d5. And, yeah,
Takes, knight takes, yeah. I was hoping for a revealed attack on his knight on c3. So if he plays something, I can jeopardize it with my knight on f6. I know you say it's hope chess, but I've got that lovely diagonal. I don't know why I'm pointing
no,
at
no,
this
no, no,
on the
it's
screen.
fine. Yeah,
You know, Mr. Analog, I've got that lovely bishop on g7 for a revealed attack on the knight.
yeah.
That's what the hope was.
So one move I would consider here from a purely prophylactic point of view to prevent knight e2. So often I think high level chess is about preventing your opponent's ideas. I might consider move knight e2 and to prevent
Yeah,
knight e4, sorry, because knight there then prevents white getting rid of the bishop pair with knight d4, or black getting rid of the bishop pair with knight d4. Now if you go here, I just drop back and I continue, although actually now this might be an issue. So not so clear, not 100% clear. Maybe I
oh,
have
can
to
you
drop
play
back
rook
here.
a1? Can he? No, no, sure, right, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that easy for white. I mean, you could, in theory, say, well, look, take there because if you take there, then I'm going to get the hierarchy of pawns again. Maybe I'll go here and just kind of convince you to take after all and argue that that's
Yeah.
maybe in my favor. Yeah, a little bit murky this position, but I think rook e2 looks like a mistake. It looks like oh, you went knight e4 and you offered a draw here.
Yeah, because I thought now I'm definitely equal at least.
You should have
And
carried on because I think you'd have outplayed, given the way the game went, and actually your other games you outplay your opponents. Once the game's left the opening and middle games, you convincingly outplayed your opponents. So going on that trend, I think you'd have won the game if you'd have continued. Possibly.
maybe, yeah.
Maybe that's been disrespect for your opponent, but
He
my
was good.
argument.
He was good. Yeah.
And in the final round, you won against Liam Guest. Should we have a quick look at this game?
Oh, great bears. Yeah, I was really tired in this, and I made some
Were you
bad
white? You were
queenside.
white in this game, right?
Black, 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 black,
Oh,
black,
you
black,
were
black.
black, right?
Yeah. I always get three blacks in these congresses. They don't like me.
Knight c6, yeah, nice move. I like that. I mean, another move I might have considered was
C5,
I,
yeah.
I like
Oh,
the idea of challenging the center with a pawn.
yeah,
But knight
C5.
c6 also seems reasonable because that kind of, yeah, I think maybe they should have thought about just trading something there.
Yeah.
Because
I was expecting.
now, what did you consider knight back?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Or what was your thought process? Why did you
Well,
reject it?
because I uh just favored the other option, to be perfectly honest. But in
Well,
concrete
that's a good
terms,
reply. Yeah, that's a good reply.
I was worried about him playing,
Yeah.
trapping my light squared bishop. So what I wanted to do at some stage was
Ah.
have a hole for the bishop to escape to. That
Again,
was
I
my
think
main
this is
concern.
maybe calculation. The more the generalization, the diff
Yeah,
now, if you take to extreme example, computer is just almost purely going on calculation, and it would
yeah,
just so computer often makes decisions that even strong grandmasters won't make because it won't fear the generalization that a strong grandmaster would make. In terms of
right.
poor weakening moves. This is why we've seen over the last few years that grandmasters are much more top level players are much more keen to like weaken their king side and play weakening pawn moves because they don't generalize, and a lot of their play is influenced by computers. Now, this specific example, I don't think it requires much calculation to see that the bishop doesn't get trapped. And again,
No,
it comes down to understanding as well. It comes down to knowledge because I've seen positions like this before. I know the bishop won't get trapped. If you haven't seen positions like this before, then
yeah.
it's hard to, it's much harder, I think, right?
If I wasn't being lazy, I would have worked it out. But I just thought, it's my idea of prophylaxis,
Mm.
prophylaxis,
But
whatever
I
it's called.
just feel that this is more of a testing move because you're creating this. If you maximize your play, right? This you remember I said earlier about you take back the B pawn on C4 because you're maximalizing. You're thinking about what is the best scenario that could happen in this chess game.
Yeah,
But the maximalist way is to go like pawns, threats, attacks. Think
yeah,
about, you're trying to win a pawn, right? So this is the
yeah,
most aggressive and ambitious way to play. Now they can play knight d4 with the idea that if you take, they can take here, and then they win the pawn back that way. However,
yeah.
after knight d4, I wonder if you can actually take, because if they take with a pawn, What would you play here, Rene? Let's just say you
Right.
got this position. What would you play
Let's
here?
say that I got this position. Okie dokie. Okay. I'm going to play.
There's a move that screams out at me here. Like
Well,
really,
I think you're going to say something like C5.
you're absolutely right. It's not something like C5, it's C5. Because again, I'm using a wing pawn to attack a central pawn. If you take there, I've got a nice choice between take with a knight or take on E5. And
Imagine if I hadn't got that right alongside the first one you got, I buggered it up, that's a little bit down, mate. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Also, F6 is maybe a possibility as well, attacking the pawn
Oh,
that way.
that's a
But I
dynamic pawn move.
prefer, yeah, exactly. All dynamic pawn moves as well. So bishop pair dynamic pawn moves. Even though you worked on those aspects of your game, maybe work on them even. Sorry, but yeah, okay. So in the game you went 94. Well, it's still bad for White actually because I don't think they should have taken because now they're creating
Yeah,
this.
when he played Rook G1, I played Bishop takes knight. I was expecting him to play G takes bishop, the G pawns take the bishop, and then
Mm.
he's just got this attack on my king side and he didn't do it. And I was like, thank goodness.
Doesn't that just win a pawn out, by the way? Just like a question.
Yeah, it does. I think I did win the pawn. Yeah.
But can't you just do it this way and then take on E5 that way? I mean, I'm not
Oh,
saying bishop takes
I
isn't a
can't.
good move. I'm sure it is, but okay. Anyway, so it probably is. Yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. This is a mistake. You should take with a pawn because at least then he's got some attacking chances
He's
down
got
at
something,
G5.
hasn't he? Exactly.
Mm.
And I thought the moment I played, I thought, what are you doing? This is
But
the
I
only
think
game I'm going to touch.
objectively, this position is still lost because you could block the attack very easy with G6. But I agree with you from a practical point of view. Queen F6 is coming, so it really there's no attack here, actually, objectively speaking. But it would have been a
Intermediate
better.
level, if you've got an angle, you've got an angle. Do
Yeah,
you know what I
because
mean? Like,
also this move makes this rook look pointless.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that I think that was a weak move by White. I would say Bishop takes F3 is worthy of already he made several mistakes, but now I might go more aggressive here. I like so let's play C5,
Yeah, I
C6.
started really playing badly now, Dan. Even though I was on for the section, I was playing badly.
Maybe the nerves were kicking in. You start thinking about winning the tournament.
Yeah.
It
It's
means a
just
lot, right? It means a lot.
I was ashamed of this. I should have just, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, but it still looks good for you, right?
No, it does, yeah, but that's awful, shocking. Yeah, so you wait.
Okay. Yeah, might have gone here with the idea of C5 and then just attack here and then this seems to be
Yeah,
breaking through winning the game, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
yeah, you could argue here you don't need to try and go to an end game because this is just so strong that once C4 comes, it's just going to get carved open.
Okie dokes.
Okay, so you took and then you're still winning, but that was a good move. Oh wow, this is
That was, yeah. I messed it up from here, yeah.
uh I mean another maybe idea is just go rook B8 ready and just take the
Yeah,
pawn.
yeah. I just moved instantly, back to my old ways. Just moved straight away without thinking.
So how much time did you have when you took on
Oh,
C4 instantly?
I had about a fortnight. It was ridiculous.
So why do you think that is? Do you think that maybe nerves were kicking in because you
Yeah,
suddenly
adrenaline. I suffer with anxiety and adrenaline. When I've buggered loads of sections up.
do
When
you
I've
drink
been on tour.
caffeine during the
You
games?
are me. I have about 100 lattes. Yeah,
So maybe we're
I was at
starting to see
Starbucks.
the root cause of your.
I even bought this mug from Starbucks. I was
Yeah.
literally it was discounted. I was literally on the caffeine massively. And yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. So that is, yeah, I think it's a problem that a lot of chess players have. They probably drink too much caffeine. Like you
yeah,
say, converting material advantage isn't always that easy. But I wouldn't.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I said about the pawn, and then King F8
Do you
was
know what I should have played? And this is before the engine, but I touched my king. I had to move it. I just thought, just play A4.
yeah.
Just play A4. Now I know I've gone through the engine always, because I know that's a fact. But A4, and the moment I touched the king, I just thought, you're going to ruin this. You're going to
But
ruin
I
this.
feel like we mentioned this. We keep going back to this topic about players at the lower sections play too quickly, and
Yeah,
this is your problem in this game. I think it relates to process, right, and calculation. And you're not comfortable. If you see like top players. they're comfortable sitting there in the process because they're trained. They're used to thinking like in a concrete way about concrete variations. But because you're sitting there and you feel uncomfortable with sitting there and calculating, the thing to do then is to play a move, right? Because if you're not going to sit there thinking about anything, you might as well play a move, right? Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, yeah, and obviously the more the game goes on, the more I suffer from this problem myself. Is that I tend to become reactive.
Yeah.
That when the game gets to a critical phase, I become reactive and I start playing a little bit quicker than I was before. I mean, maybe one way you could get around that is to sit on your hands, but there's no
Yeah.
easy solution. I think it just comes down to sheer hard work, and you've really got to work hard on your calculation to the point where you feel confident in what you're doing. Yeah, so the reason behind, sorry for all the waffle, the reason behind King F8 is because A4, when they go B6, Rook B8, you don't lose the A pawn, I guess. But I think it's still better for you even after King F8, even though the computer gives it as a mistake. You're still a lot better here, I would say. Yeah, the computer says you're a lot better. Rook
I was
A2.
trying to just make sure that I didn't get done on back rank mate. You know what I mean? Like it was just an automatic reflex, really,
I
Dan.
mean, again, sometimes the computer gives like it's a mistake, but I mean, for this without being patronising, for this standard of play, I don't think you played too badly in this game. I mean, it's just that it's got a very high bar, the computer. It'll give blunders to moves that, this is what I'm saying is this is necessarily not good for you. I mean, I think this is still a lot better for you, right? This is still winning
Yeah,
anyway. It's just a computer, from a computer perspective, these are blunders, right? And
sure,
and
sure.
and now you're just winning easily, and you hoovered up the game.
He wouldn't
Uh,
resign. I was a bit disappointed he wouldn't resign. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a lack of respect in a way, but yeah,
You,
this.
your video, Dan, you did
Mm.
say never resign.
Oh, maybe
Maybe
he
he's
was
been
watching
watching
my
your
video.
videos,
Yeah,
mate.
yeah,
He's,
yeah.
I do promote your videos. There's no
Thank
other.
you, thank you for that. No, and I think you know, I wouldn't say never resign, but I thought it's a habit of resigning too early at times. Because uh, for psychological reasons probably.
You said
Uh,
that, but Hannah doesn't never resigns, right? And
I wouldn't say she never resigns, but yeah, she does play a lot of positions on that a lot of players wouldn't play on. I think that's good in a way because giving her good habits about discipline, mental discipline,
oh, yeah,
and not conceding too early. And also, you said that signal to your opponent that you are to be feared. You're not like a pushover. You're going to keep battling to the end, right? If you start resigning too early, people will lose their respect and fear for you.
gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, okay, at this point is he did finally resign. Well, that was a good game. So I think you played two good games. I would say, well, actually, the game against Ron Cooper, I would say, was a little bit dubious, uh, in a sense that you made a number of mistakes. So I think there's a few things I would say, Rene, to work on going away from those games. I'd
Yeah,
say one of those is the transition from the opening to middle game, coming up with right plans, understanding the positions a little bit better, maybe studying games. Have you got chess base, by the way?
yeah, I have, yeah, yeah.
Okay, maybe studying some games from that opening in chess base. How they? What's the name of the cat, by the way?
What, the cat? Oh,
Yeah,
Fliss. Felicity,
Fliss.
yeah.
Oh, Fliss. Nice to meet you, Fliss. How old is Fliss?
She's 10 in June, yeah.
Oh,
We've got
lovely,
five
lovely cat.
cats. We're a cat family, yeah.
Oh, you've got five cats.
Cats, yeah.
What's the oldest?
Richard, we got him, he was abandoned, and he's like a Russian blue, and he's like 17 or something, but he can
Right.
scrap. He beats all the cats that are still in the neighborhood when they annoy him.
Oh, good stuff.
He didn't start a fight, but he finishes them. He's like incredible.
Yeah, yeah,
But oh, he might be, yeah, 16, 17.
yeah.
But like, yeah, what you're saying? Sorry, yeah, I think you're right. The Ron Cooper game was dubious, but I think I ended it well.
Yeah, yeah. But I feel like you're making progress with your chess. You're going the right way. You know how to improve now, but it's just a question of whether you want to put the hours in to do it. Work on the bishop pair, work on your calculation. So buy some calculation courses, work on those. I think your problems are the problems that a lot of amateur players have, right?
Yeah, yeah. But do you
You
know what,
know,
Dan? Like, again, like I'm not being sycophantic. Sorry to
mm,
talk over you, but I, you know, I my learning, because obviously I'm in my mid-40s, and my learning
Yeah,
comes from like little tidbits from someone like yourself. I mean, obviously I listen to what you
yeah,
say all the
yeah.
time. It is when you give like the dynamic pawn moves and you always think you won the British Rapid you did, and said, I was thinking, what's my opponent?
Mm,
What mistake have they made? What
mm,
mistake? Always be on the hunt
mm.
out for mistakes. That's
Yeah,
kind of
look
my
look
learn
out for
the way I learn.
tactical mistakes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I,
you're
I,
getting a lot of your learning from YouTube
from you
from
mainly and others, but yeah.
mm,
Yeah, but
that's
that's what I do,
interesting.
and I
And
would never have won this section if it hadn't been for your videos. Again, I'm not being sycophantic, but it
yeah,
was
yeah, no,
because of what you're
that's
saying.
like I say, I do offer coaching. I think I might. I mean, the problem is, Rene, that I don't have many students. I've currently got one guy who lives in Serbia. He's a very nice guy, actually. But
That's shocking, mate, because you helped me win the British minor. And that's when you were
that's
coaching.
right. Yeah, I took you from a struggling minor player. You were like the Rocky of chess. I took you from a struggling minor player into a British champion. I turned you
I
into a
remember you had
UK
your head in your
champion.
hands when you were looking at my games and you're going, what the?
I didn't look at your
No,
games.
listen, I had a
I
little bit of
don't go
coaching
down
with
that.
you.
I don't go down
I
that low.
won.
I don't go.
And I won a Brit. Yeah, it was because of mainly because of your
But yeah, I mean, the thing is, I do. It's difficult to pick up students now because I tend to charge quite a bit. I might lower it a bit to 40 for like new students. If anyone's watching this and wants to contact me, I might go to 40, at least for the first couple of sessions. But I do think that coaching can be beneficial because, like I say, I could give people an idea of how to improve and what they need to work on. But generally, like I say, it's up to the person themselves. You know, that's the main thing. If they don't not willing to put the work in, it don't matter what the
I
coach
think
tells you.
you can add 200 ECF points to a regular, amateur club player. So if you're a 1600 player, I think
I'm
working with
doubtful about that because I feel that unless they're willing to put the work in, it doesn't matter what advice you give. If they're not willing to put the work in,
no, they have to
they're
work
not
in
going to
as well.
improve.
No, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong, they have to work as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I
My
could
mate,
probably.
you know David, my mate David, he's been working with someone. He's now quite
Mm,
a bit stronger than me,
mm.
and because he's been working with a coach, he's gone right
Yeah.
up, right
But
up. And
he probably also does his work away from the coach, like you say, independently, right?
yeah.
Uh I mean, I feel like in order to improve, you need to do that. And but yeah, I mean, generally, people that I work with get an initial gourd boost, what I call a gourd boost, where they
Corn boost, yeah,
a gourd
yeah.
boost
New
where
energy drink,
they
corn
initially
boost.
improve, and then they're like, actually, he's not really adding anything concrete to my chest. So I'll give it. But
You
yeah,
have to
like
put it's not an off-the-shelf product, Dan. You can't just go, I'm having
mm,
coaching, I'm going to be
exactly,
better. It don't work like that. Otherwise, everyone's just
exactly.
quiet. You have to put the graft in.
Absolutely. But anyway, I think I'll end it there, mate. But thanks a lot. You've been great. I mean, in terms
No
of,
worries,
I
Dan.
think
Thank
this is a
you.
kind of video that will hopefully explain to people like how to improve and so on. And that will give them a good idea. And like I say, I'll leave my email down below. If anyone wants to contact me about coaching, please feel free to do so. Generally, the payment goes through PayPal, and then I do like a Zoom lesson. That's how it works. But other than that, yeah, it'd be great, Rene, and I'll let you go, mate. And
Thanks a lot, Dan.
I will stop the recording. How do I stop the recording? Let me get back
Let's
into
stop.
the. I will stop recording now.